Single coil rebuildable tank atomizers. More importantly, single coil direct to lung rebuildable tank atomizers. There was a time in the industry when single coil RTAs basically ruled the roost. It was very rare to see a dual coil RTA being released onto the market, but as technology progressed and the tanks essentially got bigger, that's when dual coils started to rule the roost more so than single coilers. But we are seeing, over the past couple of years at least, more and more companies deciding to go down the road of single coil RTAs. This is tiny. It's also called the Eclipse RTA by YachtVape and designed by Mike Vapes. Yeah, Mike Vapes has got his hand in this, and it's a very short, very stocky, single coil direct to lung, albeit restrictive direct to lung RTA. How well does this perform? Only one way to find out. It's time for a tank review. The Eclipse from the fine folks over at YachtVape, and they've teamed up with Mr. Mike Vapes for this particular design. Very, very small tank. This is basically a not mouth to lung, what the fuck, Vic? This is a direct to lung single coil tank, and there hasn't been many DTL single coilers being released recently, but this is one of two that I know about, at least, that's been rigged for single coil direct to lung. The second one is the Blotto Mini 2 or something, and of course, because it's got the Blotto name on it, it means Bogan's got his hand in the design. But what we're looking at is this fella, the Eclipse from Mike Vapes and YachtVape. Starting at the top, you do of course have your 810 drip tip mouthpiece with the O-ring inside. Filling this thing is going to be super easy. Give this a twist, bayonet cap fitting, top pops off. Look at those huge just fill holes. Huge fill holes at the top. You're going to have no problem filling this tank up. We have got straight glass here, but in the packaging, at least for the non-TPD versions, there's a bubble glass I think that comes included from what I remember. You've got your airflow control down here, fully adjustable as you can see. One airflow there, another airflow on the opposite side. You've got YachtVape's logo on the very short chamber. See how short that chamber is? And then down here at the base, Eclipse, Mike Vapes, don't vape in a bin, CE mark, and manufactured by YachtVape. Let's have a look at the most important part though. Inner chamber is very short and very square top. And there's kind of a reason they've did that if you look at the deck over here, but there's a reason they've did that because of the way the deck and posts are arranged in this. It made more sense having a squared off top rather than a domed top. We're going to get into that when we look at the deck, but really nice finish. Really nice. This is the thing about YachtVape. Their manufacturing is spot on. Really good finish in that inner chamber. Very short inner chamber as well, and that's because we're looking at a rather short deck. This is a through post airflow design, which means the air comes in here, goes up. There we go. Try that again. But air comes in through here, goes up through the post, and what you're looking at is a side airflow honeycomb design. So it's a through post airflow design, valley style, with the coil sitting across like that. Coil sitting across like that, and you've got two miniature juice wells at either side here with a very, very small juice intake on either side. So coils like that, cotton, cotton, very, very simple. Screw holes are recessed inside the airflow, which, oh boy, you're gonna have to have a long reach Allen screw, because if we zoom this in, you can see that they're not flatheads, they're actually Allen screws that they've done with this, because the big problem is a lot of screwdrivers, they simply don't have a thin enough neck on them to fit in, so they went down the road of actually doing this with Allen wrenches. So let's get an Allen wrench that's actually going to fit in here, because I've left the other one that fits in the office next door because I'm a fucking idiot. Let's have a look at that. There we go. So let's unscrew you. Actually, hold on. What way around is the coil going to go? Let's actually pick a coil to pop in here first. That would fucking help. Yeah, what are we looking at? What will we pop in? Should we go with an alien? Let's go with an alien. Right, we'll go with an alien. Not one of the 5-core fellas, because they're way too big for this tank. We're going to go with a normal 3-core alien. And of course this one's got the kinked leg on it. Where are we here? Let's get... Where's my thingy went? There it is. 3mm inner diameter for that coil. No, it's not. It's 2.5. Actually, it is 3mm. It's just a tight fit. Right, let's pop you in here. I need to straighten out this other leg here by doing that with it. There we go. And then, how are we looking here? Should we add an extra wrap? Let's add an extra wrap or extra half wrap to the far side. It will mean that the ohms of this is going to be probably bumped up by around about 0.5, but not to worry. So we end up with a coil that looks like that, and that's a mess. Hold on. A lot of these coils that I get from coil builders are rigged more so to drop into drippers than to drop into tanks, hence the kinked leg. But it's very easy to fix, very easy to fix. There we go, just like that. So we're going to have the coil sitting like that. So that one's already unscrewed, and we need to unscrew this. Pull that out. Now we're going to get our coily tool, and we're going to go for a 5mm long leg. Where did I put my snips? My desk is an absolute disaster because this is actually, there they are there. Desk is an absolute disaster, folks, because this is the last of the 5 reviews, table cams that I'm recording. Next week is going to be, well, this week actually, because you're watching the review now. This week is a very busy week when it comes to reviews. So there we go. And we're going to pop this coil. Leg goes in there. Leg goes in there. Seriously? Like that. Because I watched, and I don't normally do this, I watched Mike Vape's presentation video and he made everything look so professional because it's Mike Vapes. I'm just a ham-fisted idiot, right? So, yeah, I struggle a bit putting coils in, plus I'm looking at the screen to do this. I'm not looking down at the table because my eyesight sucks now. Right. Going to hold that coil in there. In fact, you know what? We're not. We are going to pull that coil up just slightly by having a screwdriver in there. That way we're not going to be twisting the coil around too much when we screw everything down. So let's pop that in there. And tighten you up. There we go. Spin that round. Tighten the opposite side up. Like that. And because we had a screwdriver in there, the coil's not mangled up too much. Now we're going to get a build tab. I would be using the build tab that I got from Sooooo, but I'm too lazy to stand up and go and pick it up and then plug the USB thing in, so we're just going to use this. Give this a very gentle burn in at 12 watts just to get things to settle down. Then we're going to crank it. 33 watts, zoom this in so you can see what's happening. See, that coil is a little bit skew with. There. 33 watts. Give this a very gentle burn in. Let the heat do the work for you. Starting off from the inside, and then the glow transfers in as the heat transfers through the metal. Round about there. Give it a rake. And now we're glowing from the inside out. Perfect! So, that's a standard 3-core alien I've got in here. Could you get away with a 5-core alien? Yes, but you're going to have much lesser wraps because there's not much of a distance between the post holes, as you're seeing. So you're looking at a very short run coil going on in here. There is enough room, like width-wise, to put a good 3.5 4mm inner diameter coil in here, but the length of the coil is going to be short because of the length of the deck. So you're probably going to be much safer with a 2 or 3 core fused, 2 or 3 core alien, that kind of thing. When you go up to 5 core, it might be a bit too big, folks. It might be a bit too big unless you like vaping at stupidly sub-ohm levels on a tank, which I don't like doing personally. Right, let's wick this thing up, which should be very, very easy to do. Very easy to do. We are going to use Cotton Gods. Wrong way around, Vic. Not a sponsor, I just like their cotton. 3mm ID, so we're going to need this much cotton. Now, you do have a miniature juice well there and a miniature juice well there with the juice intake on the side. See it? That part right there. So you don't want to overstuff this, otherwise you're going to choke off the juice supply going in to the cotton. So you're going to have to be a little bit on the careful side doing this. Let's pull that cotton through, backwards and forwards a little bit, and then what we do is get your scissors and line it up with the outside of the base. Don't line it up with the inside of the juice intake, right? You want to get your scissors and line it up with the outside of the base. So there we go. There's your cotton. Outside of the base, snip. Other side, outside of the base, snip. And then what we do is we simply get our cotton and we very casually, don't force it down, folks, because again, you'll choke off the juice flow supply. But you want to very, very gently pop the cotton down into the juice well. That's that side done. Now this is very similar, kind of, to the way that Mike Vape showed in his video, but I'm leaving the cotton a little bit on the longer side, and I'm also not raking it. I'm just popping the cotton in here, very gently, not forcing the cotton down, just very gently placing it. And what you're now ending up with is 2 tufts of cotton on either side with the juice intake partially covered. Perfect for this kind of setup. And there we go, folks. That was the YachtVape and Mike Vapes designed Eclipse RTA, coiled up, wicked up, and ready to go. Let's head back up to the main cam, see what this little fella performs like. Yes. If you're liking the content on this channel, not just the reviews, but the news stuff, and of course the live shows, and of course the What's Up Sunday update vlog, and all the ECig 101 videos, and you want to consider supporting Vaping with Vic financially, if you head to vapingwithvic.co.uk/support, you will find multiple ways, either via Patreon, the YouTube membership subscription system, or other ways to actually support Vaping with Vic financially. This is a full-time job for me, folks, and what I'm sitting in right now is a studio that I'm renting out in an office building in the town that I'm living in. For more information on where your money's actually going to go, because you'll want to know where your money's going to go, let's be honest, folks, if you do decide to join Patreon, for instance, again, head on to vapingwithvic.co.uk/support and have a look at the video at the top. Back onto the review. And we're back up top with the YachtVape and Mike Vapes Eclipse RTA. Got it sitting on top of the Lost Vape Gross. And I've got the Lost Vape Gross currently running at 60 watts. The little alien coil in here is coming out at 0.25 ohms bang on. Airflow control in the tank is fully open. Black vine is inside, and we're off. Oh, you can't beat a bit of black vine in the morning. That is gorgeous. Oh, and I just remembered it's 6mg black vine I've got in here. I shouldn't really be chain vaping that. Hold on. I've upped my nicotine. And I started doing that around about March of this year because I found myself chain vaping far too much with the lower milligram stuff when I'm doing direct to lung, and the 6mg is actually helping. I've seen myself not vaping quite as much, but then I keep forgetting I've got 6mg in there, and as I keep chain vaping, the throat hit starts to appear, and yeah, that reminds me, whoa, slow down, you'll give yourself a head spin. Yeah. And there we go, folks. That was the Eclipse RTA from the fine folks over at YachtVape, and of course designed by Mr. Mike Vapes himself. What do I think of this? The eyes and the nose. There is one niggly point with this. Even, I've got the bubble glass on it, by the way, even with the bubble glass on it, you're going to run into the same problem that you had if you bought the Kelpie RTA that came out from myself and EH Pro run about end of 2018, 2019 or something like that. You're going to be filling this a lot. You're going to be filling this an awful lot. You're going to be filling it more if you decide to stick with the, where's my mic cable doing? There we go. You're going to be filling it even more if you decide to stick with the straight glass option. Now, I can kind of see why YachtVape and Mike decided to go with a tank of this size, because single coil direct to lungers, they do generally tend to be much smaller tanks. They generally tend to be much smaller tanks than their dual coil counterparts, but this doesn't hold a lot of juice, folks, especially with the straight glass on it. So if you're going to be doing a direct to lung setup on this thing, which to be honest you probably will be, yeah, you will be. If you're going to be doing a DTL setup on this with something like an Alien, like a dual core or triple core Alien that I've got in here right now, dual or triple core fused Clapton, or even a normal standard Clapton, yeah, you're going to be ploughing through the juice, even with a single coil setup like this one, especially if you're going to be running it anywhere between 50 to 60 watts for that slightly hotter vape. I could vape this tank dry in less than 5 minutes, running it at round about 50 watts for a slightly cooler vape. Granted, I chain vape like hell when I'm up at the house or I'm in here in the studio. But yeah, around about 5 minutes, I can chain vape this thing absolutely bone dry to the verge that I'm getting a dry hit. So if you are going to get this, you are going to be filling the tank an awful lot. You'll need to get used to that. And that's probably the reason that they done this. Bayonet cap fitting. So it's not as if you have to keep unscrewing. It's a full bayonet cap fitting, and the top of this tank is literally all fill hole. The whole fucking thing is one massive fill hole. So it's not as if they've made it hard to fill the tank, and they probably done that because they realised due to the size of the tank, you're going to be filling it a lot. You are going to be filling it a lot. But here's the big question, the flavour. Well, I'm still waiting on another single coil, relatively well-known tank. I'm still waiting on the single coil mini variant of another tank coming in to try and compare it against this. But right now, out of all the new single, and let's be honest, there's not been a lot, but out of all the new single coil direct to lung RTAs that have came out over the past 8 or 9 months, this one's at the top. And one of the major reasons it's probably at the top is again because of its size. The size thing with these tanks, not so much dual coilers, but single coilers, the size thing with these tanks is a double-edged sword. On one side of the sword, the bad side, you're filling the thing up every 5 minutes. But on the good side, not only are you shortening the length of the entire tank, you're shortening the chimney length, you're shortening the chamber length, which means you're concentrating the flavour down as much as you possibly can. The flavour from this thing is phenomenal. Granted, a lot of that is to do with how good the coil is that you're popping inside. So if you're going to a reputable coil builder, popping in a dual or triple core Alien, a dual or triple core fused Clapton, you're going to get phenomenal flavour in this. And here's the thing, I even tried it with a micro, well, yeah, it's a micro coil. You know, the single strand of 20, what gauge was it? American gauge. It was 0.4 millimetre. I think that's 26, 27 gauge over in America, but it was 0.3, 0.35 millimetre. Was it 0.3 or was it 0.4? No, actually it was 0.35, yeah, 0.35 millimetre diameter, just normal Canthal A1. Something like 7 wraps, I think I popped in. It was 6 or 7 wraps. Came out at round about 0.3, 0.4. Simple micro coil. Popped it in here, the flavour was still bloody phenomenal. Not quite as good as the Alien I've got in here right now, but the flavour was still phenomenal. So even if you don't have a local coil builder, or you just pop in a round wire build, like a normal round wire build, you're still going to get good flavour. It's going to be interesting to see, because as far as I know, there's still 2 or 3 more single coil tanks, roughly the same size as this actually, that's due to come out over the next 2 or 3 months. It's going to be interesting to see if this tank retains its top spot against the other single coilers that are due to come out at the end of summer, beginning of the autumn and winter release run for the e-cigarette industry. But right now, I am very impressed with this tank. Very impressed with this tank. It's got a good restrictive direct to lung. The deck is super easy to work on. The wicking it is also super easy to wick on. Shove your wick through, cut it, drop the wick down, juice it up, ready to go. Super easy to do everything, and it's even super easy to fill. Mind you, it has to be, because you're going to be filling the thing up very, very regularly. Yeah. I mean, look. Granted, the tank was only half full. Well, it was about 3/4 full when I started recording in this. You can see the juices drop down to just below the roof of the chamber. It ploughs through juice. So again, if you're one of these people that don't like constantly having to fill tanks up, you're probably not going to enjoy this. Even with the bubble glass on, it ploughs through liquid. It really does. I have got a sneaky suspicion, just going by the flavour, very sneaky suspicion, this is going to end up replacing the Vape Kylan Mini 2 up at the house. Because I've been vaping in that Vape Kylan Mini 2 since that tank came out, simply because of the flavour. This is stomping all over it. Stomping all over it. And it's the same coil I've got in the Vape Kylan Mini 2, dual core. It's actually not a triple core. It's a dual core Alien, one of the smaller Aliens. The same coil that's in this. This is stomping all over the Kylan Mini 2. Granted, the Kylan Mini 2 is it's an old tank in the grand scheme of things, because that Kylan Mini 2 was released about, 8 months ago now, from what I remember. But I can see this tank headed home with me later on tonight after I've edited the review. Anyway, big thanks to the folks over at YachtVape for sending it over for a review. If you thought this review sucked, you know what to do down below. Thought it was good, give it a thumbs up. Very first at the top, you've got the latest video, no matter what video you're watching in the channel. Underneath that's latest What's Up Sunday update vlog. In the middle, shout out to the hashtag Flu family, the Patreon subscribe stars and the YouTube members for keeping Vaping With Vic supported financially. That's what's paying for this studio. And underneath me is the Vape Mic logo. Click on that to subscribe. As always, folks, thanks for watching and have a good one.